So those who are listening, I want to point out something, that there's an interesting debate here on percentage versus hard-coded numbers.
Can I give you my opinion?
Of course.
Use absolute numbers. Because if someone decided that max connections would be 50,000, 30% of 50,000, it's a lot of connections. It's 15,000 connections. That's going to be a lot. So, and it's still 30%. So ratios and percents are usually aligned. They usually lead to bad things. They usually resolve less than ideal stuff, in my opinion.
I'm going to wave my finger at you, because I think that there's a use for both, and let's debate this for a second, because
okay,
this is
that's interesting.
So let me give you a couple scenarios where I see this. So there's pros and cons to either way. And when you look at a percentage threshold, let's use the user connections here. You're making an assumption here that you will know or be able to set a threshold that is universal across your nodes. What if you've got 100 machines and all of them have max connections that vary because some are busier than others, some are analytics, they have different workloads? A percentage in that case could be something that is beneficial, especially if you're really focused not on getting alerted that your system's busy, but you're going to hit a critical threshold that's going to, kill you, right? So, once you hit max threshold or max connections, things break. Yeah. So you want to avoid that. So there is some benefit to saying like, I hit 90%, whether that 90% is 9 out of 10 or, 900 out of 100. Like there is a benefit, but there's almost like you need a secondary, because, when you've hit 9 out of 10, one more connection kills you. When you hit 900 out of 100, you get 100 more. So really you probably wanted to set the threshold to 95 for that. But I would rather get alerted than not in cases where I've got a lot of massive systems and then adjust each one individually. So I see that there is a benefit for percentages, but they are when you're handling lots of nodes and you can't get control of all of them, and you are looking to that max that's going to kill you and push you over. I think that can be something useful.
Can I give you my opinion?
Of course you could give me your opinion.
How I will try to structure my alerting. Performance problems are related to hardware resources. And while sure, hardware resources nowadays could change. You could have hot plug memory, hot plug storage. But normally, you will have a fixed machine, especially for a database, right? So what I will do is I will label my nodes with the disk capacity, with the memory capacity, the number of CPUs, and then I will create alerts that are based on the hardware, because what you're going to saturate is the hardware. And then I will create filters to apply those alerts with the proper dimensioning to the proper hardware. My take. So might not work at too big of scales, but I believe that for vast majority of the people, I'm talking about people 500 nodes, 1,000 nodes, you can perfectly do this. You're not going to have 1,000 different nodes. Come on. So I think it's better because it's easy for some thresholds to be changed by humans. So if I tell you max connections 30%, and then I go sneak back in your back and said state global max connections equal 90,000, I just blew out your server. So that that is the thing, is hardware resources are fixed and can be easily labeled when you are installing, could even be automated. So much so that could be automated that when you're deploying your PMM agents, you can add those labels to qualify what piece of hardware you have there. Automatically, you don't need to have a human do it. So you will get those labels for free, basically, and then you can use it in the filter. So I could say, okay, I want 30 connections for the 8 CPU cores machines, and I want 1,000 connections for the 144 cores machines. Does that make sense to you? Like, or what do you think about that?
Yeah, you could do that. I mean, I guess you could if you tag them. So what you're saying is tag the different size instances and then set the alert threshold for those different size instances. Because as the environments do grow, we're losing control over individual nodes, right? So if you've got a environment where developers are, let's say you're an RDS, right? So you're on Amazon and you're looking to monitor, and you want to set up alerting thresholds. You might have 10 different development groups and they might have 50 different instance types. It's entirely possible. So, yeah, you can put, filters in there then that say like, hey, this sort of tag or this sort of, system. But I think you could also potentially do that in the template. Like, so if you go down and look at the Victoria, metrics there, you can make this expression, for instance, like say,
a piece of the CPU or a piece of the memory.
Yeah, or even hard code the value in here, so if you're going to use a percentage, like in this case, right? So a percentage, let's say you wanted 90%, you could say 90%, it's over 90% and has less than 100 connections left, or has less than or has more than a certain number of things, right? So you could say like in here, put an and statement and then say, take the max minus the max variable. So the maximum number of active connections minus the configuration variable, and say if that's over 100 and over 100 or under 100 and over 80%, then alert. So you can make it a little more intelligent by kind of mixing things in here as well.
Yeah, it's kind of a heuristic built into the template.
Because I mean,
never looking into it. To be honest, never looking into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sounds interesting. What is wrong is that, right? Like, it's like the rule of thumb of 75% memory for the buffer pool, and then I see people with 784 gigabytes of RAM using 75%, and they have like 180 gigabytes free, right? It's just like, sir, you have a lot of memory free. You don't want to have all that memory wasted. It's a lot of money. And it's what, I was following that percent rule.
Yeah. And I mean, like in that, like if you were going to do a memory, you would be saying like, what's the maximum that I want to allocate for the OS? And you'd say, maybe it's like 32 gigs. Once you hit 32 gigs, everything above 32 gigs could be to the database. Mm-hmm. And you could put that directly in your template expression as well. That says that, if, the the memory is above a certain threshold, then just send this alert that you've got this free memory that's not being allocated, regardless if it's at the percentage or not.